Hello all, welcome back to Winter Does Stuff, where we react to some crazy stuff. Today, we have the beginning of RWBY Volume 5 Redux. Now, this is a project that I've been looking into for a little bit, and I decided I want to do a reaction to it. RWBY is one of my favorite shows of all time, and RWBY Volume 5 is easily the weakest volume, and it had a lot that was wrong with it. I'll be one of the first people to admit it. In my little ranking video, I put Volume 5 at the bottom of the barrel, and I think while it has its moments, and it honestly has one of the best moments in RWBY in one of the episodes, it's just the worst volume of the show. Now, that's not to say it's objectively awful, but it's not exactly objectively good either. So, this is a project by a creator called Smaller Soul, and they, along with many others, have essentially taken Volume 5 and just adjusted it to better itself as a product. I know it was not endorsed by Rooster Teeth, but I do know that Rooster Teeth helped out the project in terms of letting it go out in terms of copyright before Viz recently bought it. So I'm really excited for this, actually. I'm super stoked. What we're going to do is we are going to hit record here on our OBS, because we're going to be pausing a little bit depending on just how much is changed. So let's do that, which should be right here. And let's do it. Volume 5 Redux. We're RWBY. RWBY is back. At least for me. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Following is a fan edit. Oh wow.
So, how much farther?
We're in the home stretch now. No more stops from here to Mistral. Sorry for the long trip. Keeping us off the radar's been harder than I thought. Lots of air traffic around northern Anima.
Ooh,
It's fine. I
nice.
just hope I haven't been a burden.
You and your money are more than welcome on this ship, kid.
Now, I'm not going to be commenting exactly on the volume itself. I'm going to be more so analyzing what exactly Smaller Soul changed and how that benefits this volume as a whole, as, you know, as this project compared to Volume 5 originally. I do appreciate that RWBY is so loved, because that gives the opportunity for fans to give back to the show in ways like this. What I'm already noticing is the lighting and the shading is very, very good. I know that color correction, shading, and lighting were things that Smaller Soul really wanted to implement into the Redux version of Volume 5, and so far this is jaw-dropping. This looks so much better already, so this is great. What the? And the sound design is really good too. They added a bunch of stuff and
everything okay?
I don't know. I'm still over Lake Monsu.
I do like that they also put this stuff here, kind of like how the team have in Volume 8, I believe, was where they really put the credits in the opening when it opened up starkly, like it did.
Shouldn't be picking up broadcasts this far from Mistral. Someone must be close.
Mayday! Mayday! We are a small passenger flight and our Huntress is down! We aren't equipped to deal with this!
Oh, man.
The Grim hit us 400 clicks north of the southern shoreline. Get him off us! If anyone can hear this...
We're going to help them, right?
What? No. I'm trying to avoid them.
But they'll die.
Look, if we picked up their transmission, I'm sure someone else did too. Besides, this is a cargo ship. She's not much good in a fight. I just want to finish this job and get home. Sorry, kid. My ship, my rules.
Wait a minute.
And get home.
They put the... I don't remember that being in the original. That's the mirror mirror motif. Huh.
Sorry, kid.
I know that Smaller
My
Soul
ship,
goes into
my
the music
rules.
and that kind of stuff too. Nice. Very well done. Having that as the opening sequence is interesting.
We made it.
And even the lighting, like, under his chin, that wasn't in the original Volume 5. I'll talk about this for a bit. Volume 5 was a lot of wasted potential, because Volume 5 had a lot in it. Again, it had a lot in it that could have been great. I think it could have been among the best volumes. There was just way too much filler. There was way too much just that went wasted. And I find this interesting because it's not opening up with them in the tunnel as they go out into the city of Mistral. So that's interesting. It doesn't even have that whole beginning scene there, which is kind of nuts. Because I remember that scene so very well, and I actually kind of like that scene.
Ah, you must be the students Crow mentioned.
Yes, sir. Ruby Rose.
Jean Arc.
Nor Valkyrie.
Lyren.
Pleasure to meet you all. Leonardo Lionheart.
Whoa! They skipped the entire hallway scene, too. Huh.
At your service. I'm afraid most of my staff is currently away until classes resume, but...
What? Leo, you can't be serious. Who's guarding the relic?
Crow, the children!
Already know. I filled them in. What do you mean your staff is away?
You filled them in?
Good evening, miss.
Interesting that scene was cut short, because I view that scene as much more of a reason for Crow to be upset, because that was the scene where he noticed, no teachers, no staff, no people to protect, and like Leo informing them also leads him to react the way he did. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that decision. It does help speed things along, but these scenes are being cut down to way too short, in my opinion. Instead of making it objectively better, I think it's just using brevity to help things go along, which could be good, but there are essential aspects of those scenes that need to be portrayed if you're going to use brevity to your advantage. So, just a little thing I noticed there.
I get you anything.
Just a little time to myself, if that's all right.
Sure thing. Just call if you need me.
You need better security.
Please, I just need to talk.
How could you take the fall for them, Ilya? Corsic and Finnick blamed you. We confronted them tonight and they denied knowing anything, and everything we found on your scroll, they talked about how disappointed they were to hear that you'd sided with Adam. But you and I both know they're guilty.
Blake.
That scroll might not have been enough to lock them up, but it's enough to sway the Faunas here. When we go public tomorrow, they're not going to stand for any of it. And neither should you.
Your plan isn't gonna work, Blake. Please. Just leave Menagerie before it's too late.
You're going to have to make me.
I know.
Huh. The way that scene was done, that was better. In the original, there was a lot of like slow panning and very long, awkward pauses between the characters and their animations. That was better, I think, but some of the again, it's too quick. It feels like they're trying to use brevity as a clutch, where sometimes it is necessary to elongate a scene the way that Rooster Teeth did with this volume. I mean, it's not necessary all the time, it just makes things a lot slower and makes things feel just so much of a chore to sit through. But I will admit that Rooster Teeth, at some points, they did know what they were doing with this.
I have to say, Crow, this all seems very reckless, even for you.
No, reckless is leaving one of the relics completely unguarded. It's not checking in with Oz for ages.
There was nothing to check in about before the fall of Beacon, but since that day, Mistral has been in chaos. Vale wasn't the only kingdom to suffer that night. You could feel the dread in the air. With all that negativity, you can imagine what it was like when the Grimm came for us. Mistral's controlled territory is the widest reaching in the world, you know, and that makes it infinitely harder to protect. We may have dealt with the Grimm, but the Mistral Council's still at odds with representatives from Atlas.
Again, brevity as a clutch. Removing the detail of we lost so many huntsmen, teachers from this very institution, is a key point in emphasizing Leo's character. And I'll talk about that the further we go along in this. I feel like that was a missed opportunity to keep that there.
First it was the dust embargo, now it's the closing of borders. I'm not sure what happened to James in Vale, but it seems to have only worsened some of his more unfortunate tendencies. And on top of everything, we still don't know where the Spring Maiden is.
All the more reason we need the huntsmen and huntresses here.
Okay. Things are bad. They're bad. Why is the Spring Maiden so important?
I thought you filled them in.
Mostly filled in. Look, there's a lot to cover, okay? I quit teaching for a reason.
Yeah. Hate Vic for the person he's become. But you can't deny that his voice acting was very good. And Crow is probably my favorite role of his because he was endlessly having fun in this role, and you can really hear it in his performance.
The four maidens are the only ones capable of reaching the relics.
What? The relics are each locked inside a chamber that can only be opened by a specific maiden. Winter for the gift of creation, summer for destruction, fall for choice, and spring for knowledge. Spring is the problem.
What happened to her?
She was determined at first, when she inherited her powers. But the weight of responsibility proved to be too much for the child. She ran. That was over a decade ago. There's no telling where she could be now.
I know. At least, I have a pretty good idea.
Are you serious?
It's not exactly good news.
What are you talking about? This is incredible news! After all these years? Where?
I did some digging around. Looks like after Spring ran away, she was picked up by bandits, specifically the Brownwind tribe.
Raven.
That's about where they've set up their main camp. It's where they fall back to after raids and scouting missions.
Well, Crow, I've got to hand it to you. With these coordinates, we can mount a retrieval force and head out in a few weeks.
A few weeks? Leo, maybe you didn't hear me. My sister has the Spring Maiden, and I know where she is. We need to go as soon as possible.
No offense, but these students and I can't take on an entire bandit tribe and a maiden that's no doubt had years to hone her skills. We need to be positive we can apprehend Spring, because if we fail, Raven and her tribe will scatter, and we'll be lost. We get one shot at this, and it needs to be perfect.
You know, Oz wouldn't be happy with any of this if he were here.
Perhaps you're right, but he's not. I'm doing the very best I can.
Well, I can't say this has been a warm reunion, Leo.
I'm sorry. I know you've all traveled a long way, but I will do everything I can to help.
Sure. We'll stay in the city for the time being. Local comms are still up. Keep in touch. Come on, kids.
It was nice meeting you, Professor.
Likewise.
Leo, we have got to work on your improvisational skills.
So, what do we do now?
You four head back to the house. I need a drink.
I'm good. Thanks, pal.
Seriously, not too bulky.
Again, I'm not gonna increasingly dog on Smaller Soul, because this is just a fan-made project that, you know, he put his very, very hard work and time into, but specifically with this right here.
You didn't hear me. My sister has the Spring Maiden, and I know where she is. We need to go as soon as possible.
No offense.
This scene, this little bit of this scene was fine the way it was. The detail of Leo saying that they need to grab the retrieval force and that the council wouldn't just lend them the people. He says it here. Wait, let me rewind this real quick.
Hear me. My sister has the Spring Maiden.
We can mount a retrieval force and head out in a few weeks.
A few weeks? Leo, maybe you didn't hear me. My sister has the Spring Maiden, and I know where she is. We need to go as soon as possible.
Yeah. This bit right here has Leo, you know, saying back, like, perhaps you didn't hear me. And that little section. And it really cements the idea that they have to wait instead of just saying, well, I can't do it. You know, me and the kids can't do it. Like, it enforces the idea that they need more than just this group. And the other thing that I noticed was missing from this was the detail about Jean asking about Cinder and her team. That is legitimately an obsession of Jean's up to this point, and it leads to probably the best scene in Volume 6, which is the graveyard scene. That, like, the sequence of events with Jean's character, you know, here to the battle at Haven with Cinder and him lashing out the way he does, and then to that scene in Volume 6 is a very clear arc that I personally really enjoy. And I don't like that it is being lessened here, because this is me and my hyperfixation. Please don't take this the wrong way if you're watching this Smaller Soul, but this is that arc is probably one of my favorite things in the volumes 4 to 6 era. Jean's development and his learning to let go of the pain and resentment and the anger that comes with that loss, and grow as a person better afterwards. So the fact that that was left out here is a little bit of a complaint on my end. But again, it just feels like brevity for the sake of brevity. Keeping things short for the sake of keeping things short, you know.
Thanks, pal.
Seriously. Not too bulky, not too lean. You're
Just right. Yep. Like I said, I'm good.
And your hair.
That was better. That was a lot better than in the original. Well done. That was great. A lot less extra, I guess, than in the original.
This one's on the house. He's been driving me crazy.
That's not the original voice performance, is it? Is it? That sounds like it's new.
So, what brings you around these parts?
Thanks. And I'm, looking for someone.
Well, not many people come out here. Too far from the kingdoms. Only person worth noting around here is, well,
Raven Bronwyn. Thanks again.
Oh, wait, hold up a minute. You don't want to go messing with bandits? They're a world of trouble.
So I hear.
Hey, girlie.
Seriously? This isn't over?
I heard you're looking for someone.
Okay. Removing the bar scene. Nice. That was something that peeved me a little bit in Volume 5. They reused the end credits scene from Volume 4 just to pad out the runtime, if I'm correct. So having that removed and having this open space where you don't exactly know what's happening, good change, good shift.
Can I help you?
Yeah. Is there a ruby rose here?
Why?
Well...
I found him!
I think her uncle could use some help.
Oh.
I found him.
What is going on out there? Can't a girl read her comics in peace?
Oh. You have silver eyes.
Who are you?
Well, my name is Oscar Pine.
Wait for it.
But you probably know me as Professor Ozpen.
I did it!
Okay, yeah. I want to see if they changed anything up here. And nothing was changed about the music because the music is perfect. It's Jeff and Casey Williams. Just checking to see. Huh? Credits. You can just remove that name, you know. You could have done that. Nothing else. Okay. All right. First episode. Again, it feels like they were removing a lot just to cut the scenes down and get to the point quicker, but there was a lot in those scenes that was very valuable to those scenes that were cut down in here that are needed to set up certain things in terms of the future, I think. Especially in the scene with Lionheart, you know. Even in the beginning, with them just, you know, popping up in front of the school instead of the scene in the hallway. You know, there's some things that felt like, again, brevity for the sake of brevity. Keeping things short just to keep things short. And while I'm not necessarily angry about it, some of the things that were left out peeve me a little bit, because it's like those were essential portions to this story. And the story and events potentially going forward. So it's a good start, definitely. A lot of things were definitely changed for the better. The scene at the Just Right store, for example, is a lot shorter and a lot more of what it needed to be for the scene to work properly. The original had such drastic differences in tone throughout the scene. This kept it a lot more grounded and at one tone. Overall, solid. Again, color correction, lighting, and shading is beyond perfect. Volume 5 is one of my favorite volumes because of the warmer lighting and with just more dynamics and shading. I think it could have been just the best composited volume of the series. So, yeah, I think that is going to do it for me with this episode. I've been Winter. We've reacted to Smaller Souls RWBY Volume 5 Redux, Chapter 1, entitled Courage, I believe. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment below what you thought of my reaction, the episode itself, Smaller Soul, and this Redux project. That's about it from me. Peace. In due time.